Hello everybody, welcome to OurSoldiersSpeak.org. I'm delighted to share with you, by way of this broadcast, our first podcast of 2018, featuring Brigadier General Dr. Tarif Badr, the Surgeon General of the Israel Defense Forces, in conversation with Mr. Alan Marks, Esquire. In this podcast, Brigadier General Dr. Tarif Badr talks about his experiences as the Deputy Surgeon in charge of mission to Haiti, the surgeon in charge of mission to Nepal, and the surgeon responsible for establishing the hospital for the treatment of Syrian refugees fleeing from the Syrian civil war into the State of Israel for medical treatment and rehabilitation. I very much hope that you enjoy this interview. Please be sure to leave your comments below, and we look forward to further programming with you.
Dr. Badr, thank you again very much for taking the time to talk. It's a real pleasure to be with you here in Los Angeles.
Thank you, Alan.
So, in the United States, you're meeting with a number of groups, I understand.
Actually, yes, we are. I'm here with Our Soldiers Speak, and actually, it's not my first time in the States. It's not my first time with Our Soldiers Speak, and actually, I'm touring and I'm lecturing about what we are doing in a couple of places, including universities and other communities.
And on the universities, are you talking to medical students or other types of groups as well?
Not only to medical students, also to law students. So it depends on the university, but it's talking with students, with the staff also. Yes. That it's very important to share with them what we are doing.
Right. Now you're the relatively new Surgeon General for the IDF. How has that changed your day-to-day schedule now that you have so much more responsibility?
I was the Deputy Surgeon General for almost 2 years, and even as a Deputy Surgeon General, I worked very hard. But the main thing that it's totally different from being the Deputy Surgeon General and being the Surgeon General is the responsibility. Yes. You are the head of the huge. It's not company. It's a huge establishment that actually you are responsible for the medical corps in general. It's in the Navy, it's the Air Force, in the ground forces, special ops, or whatever. You are responsible for the medical treatment in the field, in the clinics. You are responsible for dental treatment, for mental health treatment. So actually, you are responsible for all these things.
It's funny. So often we think of when we think of military and medical together, we think of battlefields and those sorts of traumas. But obviously, you're involved from all situations.
Absolutely.
With respect to the welfare and the health of the soldiers. Absolutely.
That's right, that battlefield is one of the main issues that we are dealing with. But most of our times are not in the battlefield. Most of our times are in the clinics. Most of our times we are preparing for battlefields. So beside giving treatment for soldiers who were injured in the battlefield, we are responsible also for giving health treatment for the soldiers serving in the bases, or they are sick or whatever, right. Either fever or other diseases, and we are also promoting health, which actually is the preventive treatment, the preventive health. So it's very important for us not only to heal them, but also to prevent the death.
So if you're responsible for healthy habits to keep them healthy and strong, is it possible, for example, to tell soldiers to stop smoking? That must be challenging. Absolutely. It's very stressful.
Absolutely. You get the point. The last year, what we are doing is, and fortunately, we've been able to convince our commanders, including the chief of staff, that smoking hurts. Smoking kills, and that's the reason that recently we stopped selling cigarettes at the bases, in order to prevent from these soldiers to smoke, at least at the bases. Right. We cannot prevent them to smoke at their homes, but we are, let's say, talking about the hazards of smoking. We are talking about the hazards of these things, and besides stopping smoking, we are promoting them to have a physical examination, a screening examination, for example, or physical activity, right, as part of being healthy.
Right. So healthy, not just conditioned.
Absolutely. It's not healing the diseases, but also bringing them to a healthier state.
Right. One of the things that has certainly changed, I'm sure, over the years is the makeup of the Army in particular, but also Navy and other branches from a diversity standpoint. For example, the role of women now compared to 25 years ago, it's certainly quite different in many militaries, and Israel is no exception.
Absolutely. Let's say that when I was a young physician in the military 25 years ago, the only female soldiers were my secretary or one of the medics in the battalion, not more than that. Probably a couple of officers, female officers. Nowadays we have a couple of battalions who are mixed battalions and responsible for taking care of the borders. So actually it's more and more females are serving the military, not only as secretaries and rare positions, but rather than that, they are well incorporated in the military. I can say that in the medical corps, 2 of our coroners are females. So 2 of the head of the, let's say the Surgeon General of the Air Force is a female. The Surgeon General of the Home Front Command is a female. It's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's modern.
Yeah.
And are there women's health initiatives and programs that you've now rolled out in the IDF that maybe would be more innovative than they would have been several years ago?
Absolutely right. When they served as secretary or without any physical issues, they were not fighters, or etc. So the medical issues were, let's say, normal. Nowadays, when they are fighters, and actually they are supposed to do more and more physical activities, so actually we are much more aware of that. Let's say when we are talking about, for example, about stress fractures. Stress fractures among females and among males. At the beginning, among females were higher than the ones we saw in the males. And then we had to adjust the physical activity of the females and to be sure that the scale of the physical activity is going according to their limits. And that's the reason that in the last few years, the rate of the stress fractures among the females had reduced. Besides, we have to be aware about the mental health of these females. We have to be aware about the orthopedic problems of these females, about the OBGYN problems of these females. So actually we are adjusting the health treatment and the health support of these females according to what is needed.
Right. And are there, as other militaries are learning perhaps on a slower learning curve than Israel already has, is there advice that you would give? How to be very successful integrating men and women together in a wide range of military and deployment situations?
Actually, let's say it's 50% of the population, and I think it's very wise that the women are part of the population in the military. Recently, a couple of female had finished their course for the first time as being armored fighters, and I think it's
so that's in tanks.
Absolutely. Armored fighters in the tanks. And it was a big issue in Israel, but I think it's a right decision that females can. We have pilots as females. So actually they can do whatever is needed from there.
Now, Israel is also a much more diverse country, I think, than many non-Israelis understand. Certainly here in the United States, it's perceived as the Jewish state, but there's a large percentage of the population which is not Jewish. Mm-hmm. You're Druze,
yeah,
and you're the first Druze, I think, to be Surgeon General. Is that correct?
That's right.
Can you say more about that?
Actually, the Druze population in Israel is one of the minorities in Israel. We are roughly about 8% of the population in Israel. And we are serving in the military exactly as the Jews, by law. Since 1956, we are serving as we are, let's say, obligated to serve by law. And we are serving the country, and that's right. There are a couple of high positions, high-ranked positions in the military from the Druze population, and that's right that I'm the first Surgeon General who belongs to this community, and I'm proud to be also a Druze member of this community, and of course to be the Surgeon General of the State of Israel, regardless of the fact that I'm a Druze.
Yes.
So it's being the Surgeon General of the State of Israel. It's by itself, it's a big honor.
It certainly is.
And the Druze population are serving almost in all the units in Israel, including the special units, including the the infantry, the armored and battalion. So it's in all the units. And also in the medical corps, we have a couple of Druze members, but serving exactly as the others.
I want to change gears for a moment and talk a bit too about the humanitarian missions that you've been involved with, even before becoming Surgeon General, when you were a colonel, and earlier you led IDF missions to Nepal and Haiti and other places. Tell us a bit about what that experience was like.
I think it's one of the amazing experiences that I have as a physician. It's even though before I went, the first time I was involved in this humanitarian mission was to Haiti in 2010, and even though before I had treated tens of soldiers who needed my help, my physical, my medical treatment, it's a little bit different. Going away from your country, and in the case of Haiti or Nepal, it's more than 10 hours of direct flight from Tel Aviv to Kathmandu or to Port-au-Prince, and being the first on the affected country, and building the first field hospital in the affected country, and actually saving lives of people who need us, it was amazing. And working around the clock for 2 weeks or even more than that, and saving more and more lives. And I think it's a sense of pride for all the members of this mission, and of course for me as being one of the commanders of these missions, either in Haiti and being the commander of the field hospital in Nepal in 2015. Besides, we have the very unique situation with the Syrians. Actually, it's also a kind of a humanitarian mission, but it's not 10 hours far away from Israel. Right. It's just on the border.
And this is on the border with Syria.
Absolutely. Right. And it's obvious that the border, the Israel-Syrian border, is an enemy border. Let's say that the situation between Israel and Syria is a situation of war since the establishment of the State of Israel. Right. And even though we believe that saving lives have no borders. Yes. Saving lives, the hostile border is no more a barrier of saving lives. Yes.
It's not only remarkable that you were saving lives on the Syrian border, it's also remarkable that there were people from Syria willing to ask for that help.
I think it was a very unusual decision of those Syrians who decided in February the 16th, 2013, when they were severely injured, and they decided not to die on their homeland, rather than that, to go to the west, to go to this hostile border, right, to go towards their enemies. And they were taught for tens of years that the worst enemy of the Syrians is the Israeli people. And even though they went to the border and they were treated by our soldiers, by our medical corps teams, and they were after that discharged, transferred to the hospital, yes, to the nearest hospital, and their lives were saved by our treatment.
Setting the politics or the geopolitics aside for a moment, and just looking at that as person to person, human being, doctor or medic, and human being patient. In this case, they're coming from Syria, and there's a desperation in these situations medically. But at the end, is there, in addition to healing, is there also trust that's built, at least among the individuals, or is that saying too much?
I assume yes. Let's say I can compare the first Syrians to come to Israel and the Syrians who are coming recently. Until now, we have treated more than 4,000 Syrians in Israel. More than 4,000 Syrians. And I can tell you for sure that the Syrians who came at the beginning, the first 7 Syrians who came to Israel, were very afraid of the fact of being treated by the Israeli people. Sure. And they were very afraid of the fact that they are going back to Syria. And somebody will ask them where they have been treated. And by the time, when more and more Syrians came to Israel, were treated by the Israeli people, either the military or the civilian medical teams, and they were discharged back to Syria. Actually, it's a trust building. Otherwise, no Syrians will come back to Israel if it was very, very dangerous and very insecure for them, and they are not trusting us. So the first 7 came, and that's it.
Yes.
That's not the situation. More and more Syrians are coming, and I can tell you that it's not. At the beginning, they were severely injured, and
well, they would have to have been severely injured to, at that point, risk it.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the point. That if they has a toe fracture, they will not endanger themselves to go to the border, to the enemy border, in order to have a plaster on their fingers. So they are severely injured. They are coming to the border. They are treated by our medical personnel. At the beginning, the military ones, and whenever there is a need, and in the majority of the cases, there is a need for further treatment. Right. So they are transferred from the border to the hospital, mostly to the civilian hospitals, since we do not have military hospitals. And at the beginning, we had our field hospital just on the border, just to be sure that these Syrians who are coming from Syria, coming from the border, treated by our personnel on the border, and then transferred to the field hospital, their lives are saved there. If there is a need for operation, the operation was done at the field hospital, and they were transferred back to Syria. But as I mentioned, by the time when more and more Syrians came here to Israel, that was no more a secret that they are coming to Israel and they are treated by the Israeli people. So we decided to minimize the numbers of the Syrians who are treated in our field hospital. And recently, the field hospital is totally closed. And actually, all of them are transferred to the civilian hospitals nearby.
Directly?
Yeah. After the initial treatment on the border. Right. Yeah. And 2 of the civilian hospitals who are taking care of the majority of the Syrians treated in Israel are the one in Tzfat and the one in Nahariya, because they are
to the north.
The closer to.
Let's go back to Nepal for a second.
Yeah.
After the big earthquake, and you went to Kathmandu, I understand you also brought with you a maternity team. Is that?
We have our experience in humanitarian missions, and we decided that we are taking care not only of the earthquake-related issues. That means, for example, that almost always we are taking pediatricians with us, not only the pediatric surgery, but also pediatricians. We are taking a family medicine with us for clinics. And we also decided to take the OBGYN department with us. And whenever there is a department of the OBGYN, a labor room,
yes.
Sometimes there are accidents. Sometimes there are premature labors.
Yes.
So we have to be sure that whenever there's a need for a pediatric or a neonatal intensive care unit, we have to be there. That's the reason that in the case of Haiti, in the case of Nepal, we are, beside having this pediatric team, we have a neonatal physician, a neonatal pediatrician who actually can take care of these premature cases. And that's why.
And did you deliver any babies during the time there? Oh,
absolutely, absolutely. One of the first babies born in Haiti, in our field hospital, was called Israel. And
for obvious reasons.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And in the case of Nepal, we had 6 deliveries. But the amazing thing that 5 of these 6 deliveries were cesarean sections.
Wow.
And it's a high percentage of cesarean section. It's none known in other places. And the main reason for that was the fact that the local hospitals knew about our hospital, knew about the facilities of our hospital,
right.
And actually they referred the complicated cases
right.
of pregnancy to our field hospital. And that's the reason that 5 of 6 of these deliveries were cesarean sections.
Right. That must lift the spirits of the people too who are dealing with earthquake victims too.
Absolutely. Let's say that it's not part of the earthquake-related issues, even though some may say that the earthquake itself may encourage the labors.
The stress.
Yeah, the stress itself, it can encourage the labor. But again, we could have a field hospital, a fantastic field hospital, without this section. But I think it's very important to have also the labor room, the OBGYN, and the neonatal care.
Right.
So when there's a humanitarian crisis, Haiti was the example, the earthquake in Nepal, any of the others where you're called on and you're responding, it's easy to see what the crisis is. And from your experience, you know to triage it and the priorities and how to set it up. How do you know when you're done? Because these are ongoing humanitarian situations even after the first responders have to go
Let's say
on.
we have to understand that we cannot save the affected country, but we can try to give a hand for the affected country. That means we could stay in Haiti since 2010 until now, and we still have work.
Sure, absolutely.
But actually, we have the responsibility of giving treatment also in Israel. That's the reason that we are like giving a concentrated help to the affected country. And this concentrated help could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month in general. That's the period of time that we are dealing when we are talking about humanitarian missions, when we are talking about our field hospitals. And in the case of Haiti, for example, we were there about 12 days. It's more or less the time that we were in Nepal. And actually, by the time, one of our problems that we are the first to be on the affected countries. In Haiti, we were the first to be there, and we started operating our field hospital within 89 hours after the earthquake.
Wow.
In Nepal, 82 hours after the earthquake, the field hospital was ready to operate.
And so for you to get the team together, get on airplanes and get there in that time period and be set up, that's really quite impressive.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Once the earthquake happens, we start to prepare ourselves, the equipment, the personnel, what is needed for that, the airplanes, and all the things. Sometimes we prepare, and there is no humanitarian mission after that. So it's a decision of the government, first of all, and of the affected country that they accept this foreign help. To be able to have this field hospital within 80 hours or something like that, and you have to understand that it's about 15 hours of flight from Tel Aviv to Port-au-Prince or from Tel Aviv to Kathmandu. So it's amazing. And we do not have a field hospital as a military unit. So we have to gather the personnel from the hospitals in Israel, from the civilian hospital in Israel, within a couple of hours, and then the team is prepared, and we are ready to have a flight.
Now, with respect to civilian hospitals and the military medical units, how do you coordinate with them on all the aspects of, not just for humanitarian missions, but also for treatment of military personnel and others?
We do not have military hospitals in Israel. So actually we are relying on the hospitalization of our soldiers, our officers, our either illness or accidents. We are relying on the civilian system. And there is a wonderful collaboration between the both systems. And I think this is what helps us to ask for medical personnel in cases that we need that. Mm-hmm. For example, in the humanitarian missions, we can ask. I can call a head of the hospital and ask for a neonatologist or pediatrician or whatever. So there is a wonderful relationship between us, and actually we are working in collaboration in a daily manner.
And do you still practice as a pediatrician too, in your spare time?
I live in a small village in the north part of Israel, so sometimes they are consulting me as a pediatrician, even though they know that I'm the Surgeon General, and since almost 13 or 14 years that I haven't practiced as a real pediatrician. But it's like riding a bike. Right. You will never forget that. Yeah. And I still like practicing a pediatrician, even though I do not have time in the meantime.
Let me talk to you about a different part of the health mission. And mental health is a significant issue for any population, but for a military population in particular, and PTSD from the trauma, the stress of a battlefield or other situations, that puts special demands, I would think, on you and your team. How do you deal with mental health issues in the IDF?
First of all, we have a very big and very experienced mental health section in the medical corps. It's under my responsibility also. And we believe that also in the mental health issues, the preventive medicine is the best medicine that can be done. So actually we have such kind of programs of trying to immunize the fighters and the commanders regarding these mental issues. And again, the PTSD could arise even tens of years after the events. Recently, we had a fighter who came with signs of PTSD, and actually he served in the military in 1973 in the Yom Kippur.
In the Yom Kippur War.
So even more than 40 years after the event, he arrived with symptoms of PTSD, and actually in this issue, the medical code, the mental health section, is treating the PTSD soldiers, even if they have this event tens of years after serving the military, regardless of the fact that they are serving or not serving, if they are reservist or not reservist, we are still treating them.
So just to clarify too, because generally speaking, veterans who are most of the Israeli population because of national service would be in the civilian medical system.
Absolutely.
If they're no longer active duty or reservists.
Absolutely.
Except in the case of mental health.
That's right. So all the veterans are treated by their civilian physicians, except of the cases of the mental cases of the PTSD, who are actually, they are returning to our mental health clinics, and they are treated by our mental health professionals.
And are there new discoveries, new treatments either for PTSD or more broadly that you're maybe surprised to be learning about and excited about spreading?
It's amazing that in this field, we have two types of issues. It's the neurofeedback and the biofeedback, and actually it's some kind of trying to teach the soldiers how to deal with themselves. That means how to discover early signs of anxious situation, of stress situation, and how to deal with that, how to calm down when you have these signs. Depends on the blood pressure, depends on the pulse, depends on the other things. So we are teaching them how to know themselves better.
Right, both physically, like a sort of somatic therapy. But
absolutely. So it's part of the new things that we are not discovering, but we are dealing with. And I think our mental health section is one of the best mental health sections in the world. I see the numbers of the people who are coming and want to learn of our experience, of what we have done in this area.
I guess in Hebrew too, the word for yourself or your soul and the word for breath are the same. And this idea of the soldiers or the others who are suffering from PTSD to settle and breathe and be attuned to that must be quite powerful.
I studied in Beersheba, in the Ben Gurion University in Beersheba, and what we have been taught there, that it's the biopsychosomatic activity, that you cannot distinguish the biological things from the psychological things from the body.
Right.
So actually, that's the reason that we believe that the mental health and the normal, the body health, is going together.
What are the biggest challenges you see for yourself, as Surgeon General and as a Brigadier General in the IDF generally, over the next 1 to 3 years?
First of all, we have to keep our preparedness for wartime. That's not a secret that one of the things that we are dealing with is our preparedness for emergency situations. And this is what I'm teaching our physicians, our medics, our paramedics, even our fighters in the field. Since we believe that the first responder is, in most of the cases, is not the medic, is not the physician, is not the paramedic, but it's the fighter himself or his colleague. So this is one of the things that we are teaching, that as a first responder, you have to know what to do at the event of the problem. That means to stop bleeding, for example. Right. That's the reason that all our fighters have what we have, a tourniquet. Mm-hmm. So actually, it's part of of teaching them that you cannot wait for the medic.
Right. The soldier is the EMT.
Absolutely. The first responder is the soldier himself or his colleague. This is one issue that we have to continue dealing with, and of course, the other issue is the medical services. The medical services, because the majority of the time we are not fighting. The majority of the time we are serving. You have to take care about the physical fitness of the soldiers. You have to take care about the preventive medicine of the soldiers, about promoting health issues of the soldier in general, and of course giving the treatment for the illness soldiers. That it's part of the responsibility that I have as a surgeon general.
You probably also have to manage a budget, which is fairly complicated. How much is technology helping to make you more productive, and how much is technology an inefficient use of capital, and there are actually better ways for you to fund your mission?
Let's say that health costs money. That's a quotation in the military medical corps, in the civilian system, and whatever. And actually, fortunately, if we need something like new equipment, like new techniques or whatever, we can have it. And but again, the majority of the things are things that can be done by the physician himself, by the medic, by the paramedic, and etc. And the budget issues are always a issue that you have to deal. What to buy, what to prefer, whether you are you already know what you have and what else can be done, but by the equipment that you have, or whether you need another new equipment.
Sure. And because technology is applicable not just to treatment, but also to diagnostics up front. You mentioned before physical conditioning of the new generation, perhaps not being, they're better fed, so they're not maybe as having much endurance, but we have genetic tools, we have ways of figuring out where people might be best suited. Are those kinds of things in use at all as well to select deployment priorities for certain?
Yeah, we have what we call the physiological section. That means that it's a section. It's let's say it's experimental section that try to recognize what is the best. For example, what is the best shoes that the fighter has to wear? What is the best helmet for the fighter? When I'm talking about the best helmet, is the best protective helmet in the one hand, and the weight of this helmet on the other hand. So you have to see what is more important, whether it's totally protective or it's very, very heavy.
That's right.
So you have to discuss these issues, of course, with the commanders, with our physical teams, and we have to decide what kind of issues to have.
It's funny you mentioned protection and weight. I recently saw some medieval armor in a museum in England. It's very protective, but it's so heavy you can barely move, and you need help to get on your horse. With modern materials, are you able now to be developing uniforms to protect wide parts of the body, not just the head, in ways that are lightweight and allow mobility?
Yeah, actually, again, it's even in the combat medicine, the preventive medicine is the best medicine.
Sure.
So if I can prevent soldiers from being injured, it's the best medicine that can give them. But unfortunately, being a soldier, being a fighter, it's not without hazards. It's not without risk. And actually, this is one of the dilemmas that we are dealing with, whether to be fully protective or to be tactical soldier.
Right.
You have to be able to move. You have to be able to react. You have to be able to see. But one of the things that we are dealing with, for example, is eye protection. Unfortunately, unlike the Americans, who will not go out of the car without the eye protection.
Yes.
In Israel, we have still to deal with that and to teach the commanders and the soldiers that even though eye problems or eye injuries, you might not die from that, but it's really a bad situation that you will lose your eyes, you will lose your sight in this situation. So it's very important for us to teach them that protecting their eyes, it's very important for them as the fighters. You mentioned the technological issues. We are trying to find, for example, like a new watch for all the soldiers, and then you can realize whether he is injured or not. What is the pulse of this?
So the watch is measuring the vital signs.
Absolutely.
And sending them to you.
Absolutely.
So that you don't have to be next to them to know. You can get the signal.
What we need is to measure the signs, document the signs, and to send them back. Right. And actually, we can do all these things with this new device. If we will find this device that can be a part of this a new soldier, that they can measure the science, the vital signs, document this science, and send them back. So it will make it easier for us to recognize that this soldier is injured, what is the situation of this soldier, what is needed for this soldier. So this is one of the things that we are dealing with in the recent time.
So your family, you live in the northern part of Israel?
Yeah.
And children?
I have 3 children. I have a boy and 2 girls. The boy is 20 years old, and he's in the dental school.
Aha. Following in your footsteps.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And he's learning before joining the army, so he will follow me as a military career personnel. And in the meantime, he is in the 2nd year in the dental school. I have 2 daughters, one in the senior class, 17 years old, and the young one is 14 years old.
Right. So the 17-year-old, she'll be going into the service as well, I assume, in due course, or?
Not exactly. We mentioned that I'm a Druze member, so actually in the Druze community, girls do not join the military. Oh. That means that they are considered as religious, and by law they are not joining the military. My son will go to the military. The 2 daughters will not join the military. Right. Yeah. And so she will finish the high school, and if she wants, and I assume she wants,
right,
she will go to the university. Right.
And do you know, is the origin of that distinction something which the Druze community wanted, or was that something which was?
As I mentioned before, the Druze are joining the military since 1956. Yes. And it was a decision since that the ones who are joining the military are the boys only and not the girls. And this haven't been changed in the last years, and that's the situation right now. So actually, only the Druze boys are joining the military, and I have to say that the recruitment percentage of the Druze population is a very high percentage, even higher than the Jewish population in Israel.
Wow.
If you are compared with the whole community.
Why do you think that is?
First of all, it's a small community. And it's a sense of belonging.
Yes.
It's not a secret that when a young Druze sees that you can go ahead in the military and you can reach the highest level in the military. So I think this thing encouraged them to go to the military, either as a fighters or as a career professionals. So I think it's part of these issues, and fortunately, it's more than 82% of the Druze population goes to the military.
Right.
Amazing.
Right. I recall there's Druze in the National Police. I know, including the 2 men who were unfortunately.
Yeah, but let's say that at the beginning, all of them are going to the military. Yes, of course. After that, they decide whether to stay in the military or to go to the other security police, branches, police or whatever.
Right.
I live in the north part of Israel in a small village called Khorfesh. My wife is a teacher.
So west of Tzfat?
It's in between Tzfat and Nahariya. Yeah. Somewhere in the
beautiful area.
Amazing.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Absolutely.
For people who are not from Israel, who maybe only can picture the Negev, they would be surprised at what that looks like with the trees and all.
Yeah, actually, it's a very nice place. I haven't moved from there since I was born. I was born there. My wife is a teacher, so actually she's taking care for the 3 kids.
Right.
For the many years that I have been serving in the military.
Now, how does she deal with the challenges of you when you're either deployed or on a humanitarian mission or away, or she may not know where you are if it's a war situation?
Yeah. They said if you do not have a strong wife at home, you cannot be a career at the military. Absolutely.
Or anywhere else.
Absolutely. And being also physician and also in the military, it's 2 positions that they are very difficult to manage if you do not have this support from home. Yes. And I'm very fortunate that I have this support from home, and she's doing a wonderful job.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Now, you mentioned your son might follow your footsteps and perhaps go into the IDF and the medical side.
Yeah.
As a there's a difference between having your husband do that, or you deciding to do it yourself, and having your child do it. You're proud, but at the same time...
I'm very proud. I'm very proud, and actually I have nothing to do with to convince him whether to go to this issue or not. It's a very unusual and not easy career to be a physician in general, and to be a military career in particular. And he has to decide, and he decided, and he's happy of his decision, and I wish him success.
Are there other topics you would like to touch on? We've covered a lot.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. It's really been a pleasure talking to you.
It's my pleasure.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.